Hello, everybody, and welcome to the X Factor with the Crypto Hipster. This is the Crypto Hipster, Jamil Hasan, where I bring you crypto policy and regulatory news, insights, analysis, and commentary, my commentary, all around the world. This is Jamil Hasan, like I said, and this is episode 65, season 4, episode 5. For the week ending today, which is November 10, 2023. And we have lots and lots and lots to bring you today. And I'm looking forward to this show. And let's kick some butt and take some names. And we're getting out a little delayed today, but that's okay. We're getting it out. And we are ready to rock and roll. And we're going to lead off with our first article. And that's 47 countries have pledged to authorize crypto asset reporting framework by 2027. That's pretty cool. That's a long way away. But hey, just under 50 national governments have issued a joint pledge to swiftly transpose the crypto asset reporting framework, CARF, a new international standard on automatic exchange of information between tax authorities, into their domestic law systems. The statement was published early this morning overseas. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, published the CARF in 2022. Developed from an April 2021 mandate from the G20, the CARF framework requires reporting on the type of cryptocurrency and digital asset transaction, whether through an intermediary or a service provider. The statement's authors intend to activate exchange agreements for information exchanges to commence by 2027. According to their text, the widespread, consistent, and timely implementation of the CARF will further improve our ability to ensure tax compliance and clamp down on tax evasion, which reduces public revenues and increases the burden on those who pay their taxes. The list of pledging countries includes all 38 member states of the OECD and some traditional financial offshore havens, such as the United Kingdom's overseas territories of the Cayman Islands and Gibraltar. However, being Europe-centered, it misses crucial markets such as China and Hong Kong, the United Arab Emirates, Russia, Turkey. There is also not a single African country and only 2 Latin American ones, Chile and Brazil. You're missing a lot of people. You're actually missing. There's a lot of pump and dump con men in the Caymans. You might want to take a look at those and include them. They seem to be people who are shilling certain cryptocurrencies that might not be workable at this time. Got to think about them. But by 27, you should have them in place. CARF is not the only tax information exchange protocol that is being implemented on the international level to capture crypto income. But we're going to get into those at a different time, and as they occur, we're not on this show, but let me know your thoughts on this new thingamajiggy that's going on here. It's a thingamajiggy. We like thingamajiggies if they're beneficial to the world, and hopefully they can be. So let's talk about something else. That was a global article, and this next article is a global article. It's global. You know, there are a few Bitcoin maximalists who I respect. There are some grifters out there who maybe worked a year in corporate America, but then became an expert overnight all of a sudden. Or they didn't work at all and don't even know where the bathroom is in corporate America. They or ever had a job, but they're experts all of a sudden. But this man, I'm going to tell you right now, is an expert. I've admired his work for quite some time. He might seem a little eccentric, but they all are, most of them. His name is Samson Mow. And there was an article written on You Today. He says this. We may see Bitcoin bifurcation in the future. You might see an institutional Bitcoin versus a normal Bitcoin. Samson has explained what he meant should this happen, said Bitcoin, he predicts, and, he might be right. Bitcoin will split into institutional Bitcoin and normal Bitcoin. They won't call it that. They call it something else and call it normal Bitcoin. Okay, whatever. The institutional Bitcoin may be forever locked in the system held by institutions, since BlackRock and other corporations will hardly let go of that institutional Bitcoin. This may lead to two different prices for Bitcoin. Samson now believes that in this case, institutional Bitcoin will probably trade at a discount, since it will have less utility than normal Bitcoin, which can be spent anywhere that crypto is accepted. According to Mao, and the locked Bitcoin will be taken off the market. That makes sense too. This could be compared to burning, which in crypto and meme coins in particular, as well as Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain, BNB, are regularly sent to unspendable blockchain wallets and can never be withdrawn. His early warnings to Bitcoin holders, so his prediction is that when BlackRock and these other companies get their ETFs approved, that will be a separate Bitcoin. It'll be an institutional Bitcoin. And everyone else in the world who likes the Austrian form of economics and money that is hard money that can't be tampered with will love the regular Bitcoin. As an individual, I love the regular Bitcoin, but I see a benefit for a institutional Bitcoin ETF, and that's his prediction. He seems to be right on some things. I would trust his opinion as a Bitcoin maximalist over quite a few other Bitcoin maximalists. I'm not saying he's absolutely right, but hey, he's taking a risk here, putting his rep on the line. I think we give him some credit. But, we're going to move to the U.S. That was a global news. I thought I'd mention it. Stand-up guy. You should follow him if you don't already on Twitter or X or wherever it is. Crypto Queen's OneCoin legal chief pleads guilty to fraud. See, I like the fraud angle because in the U.S., we just had Sam Bankman-Fried. We don't know what his sentence will be until March. We're going to have Mashinsky on trial next September. If he goes to jail, I promise all my listeners, I will visit him in jail. I will go to jail to the visitors section, and I will visit him in jail if he goes to jail. I promise you that. Crypto Queen's OneCoin legal chief pleads guilty to fraud. The former compliance chief of OneCoin, a 2015 crypto scheme that defrauded investors of $4 billion, so similar to Celsius, has pleaded guilty to wire fraud and money laundering charges in Manhattan federal court. In a November 10th statement, the Department of Justice said that U.S. District Judge Edgardo Ramos had accepted a 42-year-old Irina Dilkinska's guilty plea. Okay, she pled guilty. Dilkinska pled guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and one count of conspiracy to commit laundering. Each charge carries a maximum potential sentence of 5 years in prison. OneCoin's so-called head of legal and compliance, Irina Dilkinska, accomplished an exact opposite goal of her position, said the U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, who is doing an excellent job, by the way. Good job, Mr. Williams. I applaud you, and you're doing a good job. The prosecution found that despite her role as head of compliance for OneCoin, Dilkinska played a key role in laundering money for the scheme. At one point, Dilkinska facilitated the transfer of $110 million in fraudulently obtained proceeds to an entity in the Cayman Islands. There you go, the Cayman Islands again, where you have shillers of coins that don't work. So that's what it is. Let me know your thoughts on that matter. I love the Cayman Islands, by the way. Nothing against the Cayman Islands. I love the stingrays. You go to Stingray City, you get to pet the stingrays up close, and they have the turtle farms. It's amazing food and sun and fun. It's great, unless you're committing wire fraud. Then you get to go to jail, and it was something to be in a prison in the Cayman Islands because you watch outside, everybody's on the beach, except you. You're in prison. All right, so BlackRock. We were talking about BlackRock earlier with Samson Mao. BlackRock spot Ethereum ETF plan is confirmed after a NASDAQ filing. Wait a second. Let me read that again. BlackRock spot Ethereum ETF plan is confirmed after NASDAQ filing. We were talking about Bitcoin, but this is Ethereum. BlackRock's plans for a spot Ether exchange traded fund have now been confirmed for a 19B-4 form filing submitted to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission on November 9. Did you know there are forms for this? There's forms. NASDAQ filed a 19B-form with the securities regulator on behalf of the $9 trillion asset management firm for a proposed ETF called the iShares Ethereum Trust. The move signals BlackRock's intention to expand beyond Bitcoin with its ETF aspirations. I'm not going to read the legal jargon mambo jambo, but it emerged on November 9 before that, it emerged that BlackRock registered the corporate entity iShares Ethereum Trust in Delaware. First hint of a spot, they had already applied for a Bitcoin ETF. And we're just waiting on that. We're waiting on Bitcoin ETF. BlackRock and other financial firms have expressed interest in crypto-backed ETFs over the last few months. Yeah, what are your thoughts? How's that going to go? What do you think is going to be approved first? Yeah, that's a good question. What do you think is going to be approved first? The Bitcoin ETF by Gary Gensler or the Ethereum ETF by Gary Gensler? Ethereum ETF has much less apparent animosity toward it, just because it's new. U.S. lawmakers have introduced the Clarity Act to limit federal ties with Chinese blockchain. Oh, wow. Okay, what's going on here? United States Representatives Zach Nunn and Abigail Spanberger, I'll make sure I pronounce that correctly, it's Spanberger, have jointly introduced the Creating Legal Accountability for Rogue Innovators and Technology Act of 2023, Clarity. Act of 2023, the legislation aims to prohibit federal government officials from conducting business with Chinese blockchain companies. The act would ban government employees from using the underlying networks of Chinese blockchain or crypto trading platforms. Furthermore, it would explicitly forbid U.S. government officials from ongoing and engaging in transactions with iFinex, the parent company of USDT issuer Tether. Remember, we talked about this last week, that Cynthia Lummis was against Tether, even though she's pro-crypto. And you have another side, you have Elizabeth Warren, who's against crypto and against Tether. They're both against Tether because they're in favor of what? A Fed now, maybe a digital dollar. This act, the Clarity Act, would ban government. Well, I already talked about that. In addition to iFinex, the Clarity Act would prohibit officials from conducting transactions with the Spartan Network, the Conflux Network, and Red Date Technology. In a statement, lawmakers said that the legislation, if passed, would ensure the nation's foreign adversaries do not have a backdoor to access critical national security intelligence and Americans' private information. We don't want the Chinese owning our private data, do we? No. Why would we want that? Let me know your thoughts on how this bill is going to go. It's going to pass. I think it's going to pass, but I want to hear from you. Let me hear from you. SEC's Gensler hints he's open to an FTX reboot under proper leadership. And why would that be? The real reason. Let's talk about the surface reason. Let's talk about the real reason after that. U.S. Securities Regulator Chief has hinted that he will be open to a rebooted crypto exchange, FTX, as long as its new leadership stays within the bounds of the law, including you, sir. The SEC Chair Gary Gensler's comments were made in response to reports that Tom Farley, a former president of the New York Stock Exchange, is now in the running to buy the bankrupt company exchange founded by now convicted fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried. Okay. If Tom or anybody else wanted to be in this field, do it within the law, Gensler said at DC FinTech Week this week. He says, build the trust of investors in what you're doing and ensure that you're doing the proper disclosures, and also that you're not commingling all these functions trading against your customers, or using their crypto assets for your own purposes. Farley is the CEO of crypto exchange Bullish, which was founded in 2021. I pronounced that right. It's Bullish and not bullshit. Okay, great. Fintech startup Figure Technologies and cryptocurrency venture capital firm Proof Group are the other two bidders in the mix to buy FTX, according to November 8 report by the Wall Street Journal, who cited people familiar with the matter. It's always people familiar with the matter. You know what? Your people ain't familiar with anything. You know? No, actually, that's wrong. You probably are. But to a certain extent, to a certain degree, you know? Why would you want to reboot FTX, Mr. Gensler? Tracks to be covered in due time, sir. Yeah. Premier Crypto Cop at CFTC. That's the Premier Cop. SEC is the secondary cop. The Premier Crypto Cop, CFTC, reveals record-setting digital asset enforcement in 2023. The U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission has unveiled its enforcement outcomes for fiscal year 2023. It highlights a historic surge in digital asset cases, actions to enforce regulatory applications for registrants, manipulation and spoofing cases, and groundbreaking court decisions in intricate legal disputes. The statement released by the CFTC shows that about 50% of the cases brought to its attention in 2023 involved crypto. During fiscal year 2023, the CFTC's Division of Enforcement initiated 96 enforcement proceedings alleging fraud, manipulation, and other substantial infringements across various markets encompassing digital assets and swaps. These actions led to penalties, restitution, and disgorgement of over $4.3 billion. Whoa. That's deep, go. It is that deep. Let me know your thoughts. We're going to go to Europe. Let's talk about Europe. The EU backs the Data Act with clause to shut off smart contracts. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. The European Parliament has voted to approve that Data Act, controversial legislation that includes a stipulation necessitating smart contracts have the ability to be terminated. Okay, enforcing it gets some developers in the European Parliament. You guys don't even know what a line of code is. But hey, it's nice to dream. In November 9 press release, the Parliament said that legislation passed 481 to 31 votes, for versus against. To become law, it will now need approval from the European Council, the heads of each of the 27 European Union member states, and probably some coders. The adopted Data Act outlines the requirements that smart contracts can be interrupted and terminated, along with controls allowing functions that reset or stop the contract. At its core, the Data Act will allow users to access data they generate from smart devices, with the European Commission claiming that 80% of such data collected is never used. Yada, yada, yada. Let me know your yada thoughts. EU banking watchdog proposes liquidity rules for stablecoin users. How about you propose, I don't know. The European Banking Authority, the EBA, European Union's banking watchdog, has proposed a new set of guidelines for stablecoin issuers that will set minimum capital and liquidity requirements. This new liquidity guidelines aim to ensure the stablecoin can be quickly redeemed even during turbulent market conditions to avoid the risk of bank runs and contagion in a crisis. Under the proposed liquidity guidelines, stablecoin issuers must offer any stablecoin backed by a currency that is fully redeemable at par to investors. The official proposal by the EBA noted that the stablecoin liquidity guidelines will act as a liquidity stress test for stablecoin issuers. The EBA believes that stress tests will highlight any shortcomings and lack of liquidity for the stablecoin, which can then help the authority to only approve fully backed stablecoins with enough of a liquidity buffer. Whatever that meant, it sounds intelligent. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll move on. Spain. I had an amazing conversation from a nice lady who is in Spain, and that will be our podcast for Sunday. Caitlin Moore with the Filecoin Green Team was my guest, and she is an amazing guest, and she's in Barcelona, and we talked about paella and the beach and soccer. And we should listen to that podcast. On Sunday, it's the Crypto Hipster podcast. And then I have one tomorrow, which is with one of the co-founders of ShopX. But Spanish regulators are set precedent with crypto ad violations case. The principal financial regulator in Spain, the National Securities Market Commission, CNMV, has opened its first case against a technology provider for violating crypto promotion rules in the country. According to a press release, the CNMV initiated sanctioning proceedings against Miolos for two massive advertisement companies in September and November 2022. The regulator accuses Miolos of non-compliance cryptocurrency regulations established in January 2022. Specifically, the company didn't put any risk warnings and didn't submit its campaigns for the CNMV's authorization. The rules oblige companies to provide promo materials for a check at least 10 days prior to publication. Well, Spain, like I said before, please stick to what you do well, and that's food. Okay? And speaking about food, okay, I'm going to come right out and say it because I'm going to come right out. Actually, this is tough for me because I've been wrong for 34 years. For 34 years, I've been wrong. When I was in college, we used to, go to some of the midnight movies on Friday or Saturday night. One of the movies, they played in my college every quarter was, or every semester was Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. It's a beautiful movie. There's one episode, there's one scene in there where they give this guy a whole entire smorgasbord of food. And he's like, any more food, sir? How about just one mint? He's like, I cannot have one more mint. And he eats the mint. And he explodes all over it's disgusting. It's really sick. It's awful. It's like, God, it explodes. It's so big, it's gigantic, and then it turns into a giant balloon and whoo, all over the place. And, I always thought that was fiction. I always thought it wasn't true. I always thought, that couldn't happen. But it can. It can. The BIS general manager has urged central banks to lead innovation for CBDCs. Who's this guy? Central banks have a responsibility to keep pace with the digital age and lead innovation. Augustin Carstens, general manager for the BIS, got to take a BIS, for a Bank of International Settlements, believes in his opening remarks at a conference in Basel, Switzerland. Carstens called central bank digital currencies the central element of his leadership. His leadership. Elaborating on the potential threats and challenges to implementing them. One particular challenge is the variety of technological infrastructures different countries intend to develop for the new CBDC projects. Carstens also mentioned cyber risk and new possibilities for criminal activities by unscrupulous actors. How about you prove me that The Meaning of Life by Monty Python is fiction? Anyway, speaking of the priorities in adapting the CBDCs to potential threats, multiple officials, named the flexibility of the design as number one issue, but he also mentioned privacy problems and said, maintaining an appropriate level of privacy, for example, will be crucial in ensuring public acceptance of retail CBDCs. Okay, whatever. You get it. Let's talk about Binance instead. Binance to terminate Russian ruble deposits next week. Okay, they're going to do that. Cryptocurrency exchange Binance is progressing with its exit from Russia and is preparing to terminate local currency deposits next week. Binance will stop accepting deposits in Russian rubles starting November 15. The firm announced. Binance also advised users to withdraw its ruble from the platform as it expects to terminate RUB withdrawals on January 31, 2024. The announcement notes that Binance users can transfer their funds to ComEx, a new crypto exchange business that acquired Binance's Russian division in September. Binance noted that RUB withdrawals on ComEx will be zero fee. Well, good luck, Mr. CZ Binance, with your continued move out of certain countries. I'm sure you're making wise decisions, and as opposed to what Mr. Wonderful, who's not so Mr. Wonderful, whatever his name is. I forget his name. Doesn't really matter. He's the Mr. Wonderful guy who's not Mr. Wonderful. You were doing a splendid job, sir. One of ethical work and integrity. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Let's go to Asia. Okay. China declares stealing digital collections like NFTs liable for criminal theft sentence. Sounds right. The Chinese government released a statement on November 10 declaring that anyone stealing digital collections, such as non-fungible tokens, will be subject to theft sentences. It outlines 3 views on the type of crime that theft of digital collections falls under. The first 2 classifying it is either data or as digital property. Okay. However, the statement stresses that the third view, which sees digital collections as both data and virtual property, would fall under the umbrella of co-offending. The statement explained that stealing a digital collection includes intrusion into the system on which it is housed, therefore also committing the crime of illegally obtaining computer information, system data, and theft. I tend to agree with that. As somebody who has NFT collections, I have like 1,000 NFTs. I don't know what the value is right now. I'm assuming it's 0, but it's a hell of a lot more than that probably. If somebody came onto my platform and took it, so it doesn't belong to them, yeah, it's theft. So that makes sense. Let me know your thoughts. What does theft look like? Is theft trying to shill your bags on an unsuspecting newbie? Hey, there are a lot of people in this space right now, especially in a make-believe imaginary blockchain world, where something they think it works and doesn't work, and they're claiming it does, and their friends are working together to try to shill their bags to make you buy. If you're unsuspecting newbie and you're buying these bags, you're going to lose your money. My job is to prevent that. So keep listening to my show, X Factor with the Crypto Hipster. Listen to my podcasts. We don't shill anything. We talk about what people's projects are solving, and then you get to make the decision if you want to invest in it or not. That's the difference. So think about it. All right. So let's go to Hong Kong. That was China. And we're going to go to Hong Kong. Okay. And I'm serious about that. So Hong Kong's ready to capitalize on crypto's next bull run, says Hashkey Capital. Okay. Hong Kong is very ready for the next wave of mass crypto adoption, with an influx of crypto talent that has been spilling into the aspiring digital asset hub, says Jupiter Zhang, a partner at Hashkey Capital. Speaking to Cointelegraph, which is where I got this article, Zhang, partner of liquid funds and research at the investment arm of Hong Kong crypto firm Hashkey Group, explained that the combination of new Web3 projects along with crypto-positive regulatory developments has primed Hong Kong for significant growth in the next 4 to 5 years. He says, you've got all these new different projects with their founders and teams here, which is all real GDP, by the way. These teams are already boosting banking and capital market activities. That's what happened. We have things that work. We have blockchains that work. So I know Ethereum's there. I know some other funds are there, like XRP's there, and Chainlink is there, and but there are other projects, like Bitcoin is there, Litecoin, Ethereum, all these guys are there. It's a hub for crypto. It's crazy good. Zhang admitted that while he's not directly involved in the exchange arm of Hashkey, he expects the demand for crypto products from local Hong Kong residents to grow as the government continues to shore up investor concerns by outlining its regulatory scheme for the sector. The recent policy changes give retail investors safety because now you've got insurance and legal protections. And that's important. Insurance is important. Imagine everybody driving their cars all around with no insurance. How many crashes would there be? Be a lot of crashes. People get hurt. So, insurance makes sense. Let me know your thoughts. Laos, however you want to call it. It's pronounced Lao, but people say Laos. Yeah. The Lao military, all right, says country's crypto operators owe $20 million in unpaid taxes. In an effort to boost state revenues, Lao appears to be turning its attention to the country's crypto sector. According to a report by Chinese state news agency Xinhua News, citing a report from Lao People's Army News. There you go, secondhand news. Crypto operators in the Southeast Asia country owe $20 million in taxes and licensing fees, Lao previously authorized 15 blockchain companies to mine crypto or operate at its exchanges to expand government revenue streams. However, as detailed by Lao Prime Minister Sanangze Sifundrone, oh, I butchered that. Wow. Two companies in the novel initiative made no progress whatsoever. Others, meanwhile, fell behind on their payment obligations to the state. Sanangze also noted that since the government fixed the tax obligations, the price of crypto has plummeted 50% overall. Therefore, Lao will reduce the balance owed by crypto companies by 50% as well. Okay, that's Lao. Let's go to the Middle East. First to Dubai, to the United Arab Emirates, excuse me. The Central Bank of the UAE, CBUAE, along with other regulators in the country, has recently published new joint guidance for virtual asset service providers, VASPs, operating within the country. The new guidelines include penalties for VASPs operating without proper licenses within the jurisdiction. The National Anti-Money Laundering and Combating Financing Terrorism and Financing of Illegal Organizations Committee, wow, that's a long name, NAMLCFTC, and the CBUAE published a list that they described as red flags for VASPs. The lists include a lack of regulatory license, unrealistic promises, poor communications, lack of regulatory disclosures, and more indicators that could identify suspicious parties. According to the new guidance, the supervisory authorities expect all licensed financial institutions, LFIs, designated for non-financial businesses and professions, DNFBPS, and licensed VASPs to report transactions from suspicious parties. The guidance says any information related to unlicensed virtual asset activities can be reported from whistleblowing mechanisms to help regulatory authorities in their efforts to uphold the law and protect the UAE financial system. Hey, man, I just want to go to Atlantis and Dubai. That's all. You know, there's a beach there. There's a pool, gambling, there's good food. You know, that's stuff like that. Let's go to Turkey, because in 2 weeks we're going to have Turkey. But no, this is Turkey, the country. Turkish lira becomes the top crypto trading pair on Binance in September. The Turkish lira has become the most dominant fiat trading pair in Binance in the month of September, according to research. The lira accounted for 75% of all fiat volume in early September, despite being the fourth largest crypto market globally in terms of transaction volume after the US, India, and the UK. The lira trading pair boom can be tied to recent influx of crypto investors in the Turkish market. 27% of the participants in Binance's research started their journeys as crypto investors within the last year, 8% of whom joined in the last 6 months. All right, so that's good news coming out of Turkey. And we'll go to Africa for our last piece of information here. Kenya lawmakers asked local blockchain association to come up with a crypto bill. That's what the SEC should have done in the US. It should ask the crypto community to draft the bill and not just do this, you know, legality by enforcement bullcrap that they've been doing for a while because they don't know any better. Kenya might become the first country in the world where the industry's representatives would develop the regulatory framework for crypto. According to the Blockchain Association of Kenya, the BAC, the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning has directed it to prepare the first draft of what could become a virtual asset service provider's bill. On October 31st, Halloween, the Committee of Finance and National Planning invited BAC representatives to discuss the digital asset regulation. BAC's legal and policy director, Alan Kakai, shared the details behind the meeting with local media and said, basically, we are telling the parliament, hey, look, Kenya has always branded itself as the Silicon Savannah. We are a top 3 or 4 digital assets volume in Africa. And if we do not develop a clear licensing and regulatory framework, Nigeria, South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, Mauritius would take the lead, and the capital flow that would have to come to Kenya would have flocked elsewhere. And he's right. You're right. Congratulations on being right. Let me know your thoughts. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of my news updates for the week. And I did one piece of information. I found out last night. I found it. There's more details to come. I don't have them all. The next Litecoin Summit will be July 24 and 25 in Nashville, Tennessee. The last few were in Las Vegas, Nevada. Where I'm sitting, Tennessee's a little closer to me. And, it's a possibility that I could make a physical appearance at an event. And if I do, I'm happy to interview people or meet people to interview for the Crypto Hipster podcast. I was a sponsor at the last Litecoin Summit. I plan on being one again. As more details are known, I will share them with you. Anyway, we're 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving here in the U.S. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hosting this year. I got a 25-pound turkey coming, and I hope it's enough. And I hope you enjoy my show. I'll let you know how the turkey tastes. We have another show before that, which is next Friday. Join the Crypto Hipster each and every Friday for the X Factor with Crypto Hipster. Have an amazing week.